Welcome to Film Jury, where movies stand trial and the verdict is always final. In every episode, our roundtable of film fanatics becomes the jury, dissecting the visuals, the sound, the storytelling, and the performances as they examine every element that makes or breaks a movie, because every film deserves its verdict. Warning, this podcast does contain strong language and major spoilers are ahead. Court is now in session. Welcome to the Film Jury Podcast. This is our first episode of 2026, and we are kicking off 2026 and the month of January with a month of creature features. And our first film that we're going to be diving into is The Descent from 2005. It is a British horror film written and directed by Neil Marshall, starring Shauna Macdonald, Natalie Mendoza, Alex Reid, and just a few other characters, actually. This is a very small crew that helped compose this film. I'm the host who has always aspired to live underground, James.
And I am Heidi, who is underground at the moment.
And I'm Kat, who definitely looks like she's underground. And I'm really excited to dive into this prequel of White Lotus, where a bunch of people go on vacation and their relationships all fall apart, but there's also monsters.
It's the White Lotus that I wish I got in lieu of Thailand. Yeah. I was trying to think. I was like, I saw all three, like I binged all three seasons sometime over the last few months. And I was like, it's the Thailand one that I just wasn't doing it for me.
I can't even take credit for like the comparison. My friend Chris actually, when I told him that we were going to be talking about this movie, that was the first thing he said to me. He's like, yes, that White Lotus prequel.
Well, this film, it's 21 years of age, which kind of shocks me because of how well the film holds up. Sans one scene, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I've seen this movie innumerable times and fell in love with this movie upon first viewing. And it is one of those movies that I have not gotten tired of rewatching. So I was excited as we're kind of kicking off this creature feature month. That I was like, well, The Descent has to be in a creature feature. And Kat, you've seen this film before as well. You said this is one of your tops.
Yes, so this would be like one of my top 10, if I were going to make a list, top 10 horror movies of all time. But this is actually only the second time I've ever watched it because, as we'll get into, the film is absolutely terrifying, and it's not just the creatures; it's like everything that you've ever been scared of, ever happening to you if you have ever been in a cave.
There's a lot that plays into this. From if you went into this movie, and I actually want Heidi's opinion on this. Then, if you went into this movie not knowing what it was about, and especially for this pod, when I'm saying we're doing creature feature month, this movie can go so many directions until it goes the direction it does. It could play on claustrophobia. It could play on a fear of the dark. It could play a fear of tight spaces. It could play on a fear of being abandoned or stranded, like a fear of trauma and loss. There are so many ways this movie could go until it goes the direction it ends up going. And I like the fact that they really took their time to get there. Very, very Jaws-esque, where you don't see anything until pretty far into the film. And I like that buildup because you're taking the audience in on this journey of discomfort, as opposed to just showing them right off the bat, this is what you're in for. Now, Heidi, was this your first time seeing this movie?
That is correct. I had not actually even heard of it before. So I just pulled it up when I saw it on the podcast list and went, sure, I got time. This looks like it was more about the date, actually, that made me sign up for it. So I was like, I will be available, so I can do this. I did, take a quick peek at IMDb before I watched it, but I still wasn't quite ready for what it turned out to be. I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I don't know if I have the same opinions after watch one.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
All right.
I can't say I have so many questions. First of all, like a virgin has never seen The Descent. And like so that's just like shiver me timbers. Like the first time watching a horror movie is just like always the greatest. And then you have to go back and rewatch and get all the little Easter eggs. But I've never rewatched this film because of how how claustrophobic it made me feel. I felt like I watched the entire thing like just in a stressed out position, just like hands on, just going, we're all gonna make it through here. But like I'm so riveted to hear your take on it.
So this is the director, Neil Marshall. He wrote and directed this movie. This was his second film. And I mean, talk about like swinging for the fences on your second film. His first film was Dog Soldiers. I don't know if either of you saw Dog Soldiers, the werewolf film.
I'm familiar with it. I haven't seen it, but like Neil Marshall was actually reluctant to do this film because he didn't want to become like just another horror director.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but you became the horror director.
Yes and no. After this, he did Doomsday, which was more of a sci-fi action film. He did the 2019 reboot of Hellboy. He did a movie called The Reckoning, which I have not seen, and he did another one called I think it was called The Lair, which I don't remember seeing. If I did see it, I was unimpressed by it. But needless to say, like I didn't see The Reckoning, I didn't see The Lair, but I did see Doomsday, and I did see the 2019 reboot of Hellboy. I don't feel he's had another big hit since.
I'm misspeaking. He's not like the premier horror director, but he got onto my top 10 list, which is like I think what every horror director has aspired to do. They're like, how can I
get on your list?
Pat Stratford's top 10 horror list. That's what they're
Yep. I think I've heard that like in real life from a horror director.
And you know what? And I did misspeak a little bit. I think he'd worked on, I think it was Game of Thrones. So I think he did a little bit of TV work, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that is a terrifying show.
One of the things I want to discuss before we get into the film itself is the casting decision. I mean, you know, I was listing off some of the names: Shauna Macdonald, Natalie Mendoza, Alex Reid, MyAnna Buring, Saskia Mulder, Nora Jane Noone, Olivia Milburn. Oh, sorry, Oliver Milburn. Never heard of any of them. Not a single one. No clue. And honestly,
and they're all from different countries.
They are all from different. Well, they all have different accents.
They're all from like different regions. And like, yeah.
And I've never seen any of them before, and I don't think I've seen any of them since.
Me either. And like the chick who plays Juno, like I couldn't take my eyes off of her the whole film. Like she's so strikingly beautiful, and then she's like jacked and like doing this incredible stuff and just very engaging. Like she's very dynamic in the film, and just an absolute scene stealer. Not to like discredit like anybody else in the film, but she's so striking. I mean, she's also like wearing red, and she's literally the most striking of the entire cast, which was definitely intentional. But I'm surprised I never saw her anywhere after this.
Yeah, I'd have to pull up her filmography. Let's just see here. Best known for The Descent. She was in Moulin Rouge in 2001.
I feel like I remember seeing her as a can girl.
The
That sounds about right.
TV show. Hotel Babylon, another TV show. Not much. A couple TV shows and The Descent. And I don't want to say this. This is going to, I don't want to sour this podcast before we even get into the podcast, but she was in The Descent too. Yeah. And you know what? The less we talk about The Descent 2, the happier I'm going to be. So to me, there are certain sequels that.
Why would you like lay the bait like this?
It's one of those things where I have to completely pretend the sequel does not exist for me to retain the love of this movie. Because acknowledging the sequel exists sullies everything about the sequel, destroys the original.
I feel this way about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yes. Really, really good.
Because for sure, I did not show up at midnight dressed like Indiana Jones for that kind of a letdown. It's been, what, 20 years? I'm not bitter.
No, you absolutely be bitter. I never saw the most recent one just because of how.
Because it was so, it was traumatic. So there was in therapy talking about like how being in costume in this theater, like watching actors who I adore do things that I hate.
They got paid. They got their paycheck. They got their paycheck. All right, well, let's dive into this. Let's dive into this movie because there's a lot to unpack in this. But I did want to point out, like, I love the fact that the casting decision was done to select people who we've not seen before, and I feel like that just makes them more real and easier to connect to, easier to relate to. And Kat, you mentioned the different dialects. That was another thing Neil Marshall did intentionally because these were not well-known players. And because they're filming in such dark environments and it can be hard to tell them apart, he chose people with different dialects to make it easier to distinguish between the characters.
Yeah.
And in preparation of this, by the way, I also read the novelization of The Descent. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay.
There you go, Kat. Which not much difference between the novelization and the movie, with the exception of it unpacks the sisters a little bit more in the book, but it's pretty perfunctory. I was hoping for a lot more diving into the nuance and context of Sarah and Juno's characters, but it wasn't there, unfortunately. All right. So we open with a trio of women river rafting. And we immediately get this intense group dynamic between Juno, who's leading this white water rafting trip, and Sarah and Beth, who are there. They're in it, but they're not in it to the level that Juno's in it. And they're kind of going through these things, but Juno's clearly the fearless leader in this. And this is our first introduction to these characters and what their dynamics are. And we also are introduced to the score for the first time, in this intro. And I had to look up who did the score of this movie. His name was David Julian. And he worked a lot with Christopher Nolan in his early movies.
I have a fun fact about this.
Please.
So it's actually so funny that they wound up going with this composer because he composed for a film called Insomnia. And
Yes.
that is the soundtrack that Neil Marshall was listening to when he wrote the screenplay.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Oh, sorry. I should get glasses to adjust.
Yeah. You got a middle finger those glasses. I hadn't seen the movie, but he did Memento, The Prestige, The Cabin in the Woods. He did all those, but you have these really intense swelling horns. And that was just, every time I hear that, I was like, this is one of the better horror scores I've heard. It has such a resonance to it that I think pulls you into the film so much deeper than other films that would be similar to this. Like this came out almost I think the same year as a very similar movie called The Cave.
Yes, actually.
We're not talking about The Cave.
they sped up production on this film in order to compete with The Cave, which came out the same year.
That makes sense. We get some glances between these characters. They're giving each other side eyes.
Yeah. Oh, and we have this, like, there's this moment. So, do we already mention that we have been introduced to the husband and child of Sarah?
So the husband and child, so Sarah's husband and her daughter are waiting on the side of the rocks as the rapids cool out. So the end of this little trip that Juno, Sarah, and Beth are on. Sarah's husband and her daughter are there cheering her on as they disembark from the raft.
Yeah. So, and we see there, so like as they are pulling up, Juno does this like big showboaty thing where she puts her oar in the air and she's standing on the raft and she's like, "Hail the conquering hero!" And the first time I saw this, I was like, "Yeah, that's the showboaty friend." The second time I saw this, I was like, that means something else. And we're getting these glances. And to me, like I don't want to spoil, like, I know that this is a full spoilers podcast, but I don't want to spoil this part yet. But like, to me, the big secret that Juno has seemed very, very obvious on the second watch.
Heidi, did you pick up on it? Because this was your first watch.
At that point, I did not. It took me far longer into the movie to start questioning things. And it wasn't until the necklace.
Yeah, which we'll get to. And I'm so glad you didn't get it, because I didn't get it my first watch either. Like, clearly you notice them looking at each other, but there's no context of why they're looking at each other. And that subtlety, I thought, was a brilliant choice of Neil Marshall. This is how we build characters without insulting your audience.
So agree. And like, just to like, they do that throughout. Like they cut scenes that are too exponential, very intentionally. Like, we never get, like, to move ahead a little, we never get a full explanation of who the creatures are. And they almost included like more speculation that would have been more expositional, but like they cut it because, like, trust the audience. And I love that. I love it when they don't assume I'm a dummy.
Some of the best films, I think, in the horror genre, and particularly horror sci-fi, and I would argue this is sci-fi adjacent, are films that have an ambiguity and allow the audience to complete part of the narrative. Think of 1982's The Thing, which, did I put that on the creature feature list?
I think it is on the creature feature list, and it's also a direct influence on this film.
And we'll get to, there's even like a musical tie-in.
Wait, with The Thing or with because there's a musical tie-in with Deliverance too.
Oh, okay. Or you'll have to key me when that happens.
Yeah.
But The Thing, which, we'll do that episode in a week or two. The ending has been discussed relentlessly for 40 years. What happened after the camera went black? And everyone has a speculation. People have like pulled up 4K video of the final scene and be like, look, one person you can see their breath in the cold air and the other person you can't. And that means X, Y, Z. Like, that speculation is what makes film so fun. And the fact that it allows people to integrate themselves into the construction of the narrative. And that's something that I think was done really effectively in this movie.
I completely agree. Like the brilliance is in like everything that doesn't get said sometimes.
Exactly. There's a lot that's just left. They're not explaining it to you and holding your hand along the way, which is great.
Well, should we get to the first jump scare? So like they our happy campers are leaving their water rafting trip. We've got like some weird glances, but our protagonist, Sarah, gets in the car with her husband and her adorable little girl, Jessica. Hopefully nothing bad happens.
Hopefully, yeah. But clearly the husband's distracted. He's kind of just, has a 1,000-yard stare, and Sarah is trying to, just trying to get him to open up. She's like, "Oh, something going on. You've been a little quiet,
She
and
literally says, "You seem distant."
you seem distant." And the camera is positioned from ostensibly the daughter's point of view from the back seat. It's a center shot. We see both Sarah in the passenger seat, her husband, Paul, in the driver's seat. And it's a perfectly symmetrical shot of the two of them. And they're kind of looking at each other.
Mm-hmm. I'm stressed out just thinking about it.
And thus not at the road. And another thing of like subtlety, I'm getting goosebumps. This reminds me of the movie Jeepers Creepers, which, to give Jeepers Creepers many props is not something I want to do, particularly because of how maligned that writer and director is. But one of the best things about Jeepers Creepers was the introduction of the creeper from the early onset of the movie, where you see the car coming up behind the two protagonists, just in the back window of their car, and they don't call it out. They don't spend time. He just comes right up on
the front window of their car, because the car's coming towards
you're looking through the front window, through the back window, and you just see him come right up on them. Well, that's similar to what this film did, which is you see a car come around a bend, or a truck come around a bend, and it's headed right at them. It doesn't, the cameras don't cut. It doesn't, all the things that you would see in so many movies where it's just like, we just need to show what's going on. You just see it in the background of this shot of Sarah and her husband talking, and a car comes around the bend and is headed right for them. Yeah. And immediately, not only is there a crash, this truck was carrying metal poles, or metal
copper
piping, and it pierces everyone in the car.
Yeah, well, not everyone. I think Sarah does not get.
I don't think Sarah gets impaled. Paul gets impaled to the face.
She gets injured. We see. Okay, let's break this shot down, because it's like this is why I go to the movies, is for these money shots. So we get these copper pipes busting through, sort of Final Destination style. We just see it jam through. We see blood, and then we get this extended shot where we're zooming out from we're seeing the car from above, and we see the copper pipes through the window. And this is something I picked up on the second viewing, was the pool of blood that is largely centered around the back of the car. So that's your clue that somebody in the back seat got hit, because up till then, you really don't know. Did we know that the husband definitely got gotten?
Well, because you see brain matter come through that pipe that goes through the back of his seat.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that now.
It's pretty gross. The pipe that you see go through the back headrest of his seat, there's some chunks.
I love this movie. One of the notes that I have written down was Sam Raimi called the gore excessive.
Wow.
Because so much of it,
as a critique or as a compliment?
That's about the highest praise I can give. Because some of it's so there's an eye gouge scene that's extended, and when it goes through, it's just extra gory, and I'm and that is, I think, when I wrote all caps, Sam Raimi called it excessive.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And we should also add, and I didn't put this in my notes, but upon reflecting on this, we talked about the score. How about the sound design? The sharpness of the copper piping, piercing. You hear it.
It's visceral.
the scene you were just talking about with the eye gouge, the plump juiciness of that audio is
they actually they spent time popping grapes to make sure they were getting like exactly the right sound.
That would not surprise me.
I made that up, but like
yeah.
But yeah, let me know if that's true.
I think sound is a key character in this movie because so much is not shown. We have to introduce tension, and we have to introduce elements of this movie through other senses, auditory being one of the key ones. So what we're hearing, and particularly like Sarah, what Sarah hears throughout this movie is part of this. So then from this horrific car crash scene, Sarah awakens in a hospital, and she's just, they use Dutch angles a few times in this movie, and a Dutch angle is when the camera is just askewed just a little, let's say 15 degrees. So her in the hospital bed, they open with the Dutch angle. The camera's askewed on her. It's just a way. It's a way of making the audience feel discomfort, because normally horizons are always level in shots. And it's this very yellow green lighting on her. It's like there must be a
Hospital
lamp.
lighting.
But the green, I think, is important. I'll get to that in a little bit. But she awakens in the hospital. She's bruised. She's cut up. She's bandaged up. She has all the wires in her. And then she like disconnects things and goes into the hallway. And it's this empty hallway. And she starts running down this hallway. And as she's running down this hallway, all the lights in the hallway start going out as this darkness is descending, almost trying to consume her.
Yes.
As she's running through this hall. And then she crashes into Beth. And all of a sudden, we're back in what is the real world. All the lights are on. There's doctors and nurses and patients all over, all the sounds of the hospital. And she falls to the ground, just
she basically
sobbing.
collapses into Beth. And
Beth is just trying to comfort her, and is also telling her, Paul is gone. Jessica is gone. Like, they are gone. And Juno's in the background. Like, Juno is unable to compose herself at all. She cannot help Sarah. She cannot comfort Sarah. Juno is backing into a wall, sobbing herself. It's this intensely visceral scene. I'm curious, like, the emotional weight that you two are feeling from this.
Well, I mean, so like we see Juno, like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm a mom, so like this is my worst nightmare. So like, impossible not to like contextualize that when you're like watching this. And like you just imagine what you would want from your friends, and you see Beth being very much the embodiment of what you would want from your friends in that moment. And then you see Juno in the background, and like on my first watch, I was just like, she's somebody who's like, she obviously feels the weight of the moment, but she clearly doesn't have the tools to help. It is very clear that she wants to do something, but she cannot help, and she's very frozen. And we literally see her kind of like, she's sobbing, she's backing up, and she's very much distant from the whole scene, but like she's emotionally tethered somehow, and you don't find out the explanation until later. But like at the time, I just thought, she's that friend who wants to help but doesn't know what to say.
Exactly. She's the thrill-seeking friend, and this is not thrilling. This is emotional.
She's not. She for as strong as she is, she's not emotionally strong.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it from the first watch. Not understanding the relationship to Paul.
Mm-hmm. We then cut to a year later, and the group is reuniting. And they're reuniting with a couple. To be clear, this after the hospital scene is when the title card actually appears. So all of this happens before the title card. And I think that is really cool. Like we just opened on them rafting, and this whole thing transpires, and it's only after the hospital scene the title card appears, and it appears like a flashlight, beaming out of the darkness as it pans over the descent. And I thought that was really effective. So title
Absolutely.
card.
We're already in the cave. Like we're already invested.
Mm-hmm. We're 1 year later, and the group of them are getting back together, and there's a handful of things that are happening in this, and I kind of want to lump together their drive to the cabin, the time at the cabin, and then from the cabin to the cave. Let's just kind of group that all as one cluster. This is still an Act 1 presentation where we're meeting new characters. We meet the sisters, Sam and Rebecca. We meet Holly, who is Juno's protege, as she dubs herself. And then we have the three characters who we've already met. We have Juno, we have Beth, and we have Sarah, who, Sarah's clearly withdrawn. She's clearly still emotionally recovering from this. And this is a trip that Juno has planned and invited all their friends. We find out that Sam and Rebecca, or I believe it was Rebecca, went to university with Juno and Beth and Sarah, and Sam is Rebecca's younger sister, and then Holly is someone that's been going on these thrill trips with Juno over the last year, and that's how Holly came into this. And Juno's planned a cave exploration trip for the 6 of them in the Appalachian Mountains. And there's a lot to kind of dive into here, but I'm just kind of curious, are there any elements or nuances or facets of these characters that you're picking up as we're meeting them all in this like gathering of our core cast members?
Well, so the 2 sisters, Rebecca and Sam. I honestly, like, I had very little like emotional investment in them. They kind of look alike, so
They
it
look
like
very similar.
it's hard to like, I actually like had trouble kind of connecting with them emotionally. We do a little bit, but like I feel like the biggest thing that they had going that I was like tethered to was the fact that they're sisters and they have that bond with each other. So like you want to see them continue to be like happy people or whatever. Holly, I hated on sight, hated everything about her. She's the most obnoxious person in the world. I've met this person at parties, I swear, and like hate her.
Yep. What about you, Heidi?
I feel pretty similarly. I didn't even pick up on the sister fact. I must have just missed that piece of it because I didn't feel that.
It was said pretty quickly.
Okay, so I didn't feel that, and so I just missed the word. And I agree with Holly right away. I was like, oh God, who invited this girl? Like, she's that one that you're like, can you please send her home? I did make a note that there were like strange masks all over that cabin.
Yes. Okay. So also it's supposed to be multiple cabins. They only had one cabin. And I never realized it was like, I guess I didn't.
I thought they were all in one cabin.
Huh?
I thought so. It looked like it, but then when they start waking up the next morning, Juno's coming into doors from the outside.
So they only had one cabin. I don't know why they felt like it was supposed to be, it needed to be multiple cabins, because I feel like it could have been just as effective. But yes, there were like little skull masks that were like Easter egged throughout. And like several times I noticed that like they appear next to like certain characters. Like I noticed one like right next to Juno when she's like talking to Sarah and she's like, hey, sorry, I was kind of a dick when your husband died.
And I think that mask was also red.
I've never, for as many times as I've seen this movie, I haven't clocked that. And now I need to watch it. I need to watch it again tonight.
Like this moment and look down our nose at you, James.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Here's something I will say about this is everyone feels real. Like the fact that from an audio perspective, the conversations are happening over one another, which is why, Heidi, you might have missed the mention of them being sisters. This is not like a typical production where you have two characters talking and everyone else is in the background. It looks like they're talking, but they're just mouthing their words. That's how typical scenes are filmed, so that you don't have audio interference. They're allowing for audio interference in this. They're allowing conversations to happen over each other. And it feels so genuine that this feels like a group of people who haven't seen each other for a while, who are meeting, who are talking about what's been going on, who are catching up on what's been happening at work, at university, where life has been. It feels jumbled intentionally. And I like that because it tethers them all so much more to being real characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And like their most obnoxious friend brought the most obnoxious human on the planet, which is exactly what happens in real life.
Let me ask this. Did you pick up, is Holly bi?
I thought so.
I mean, I assume she's at least bi. Like she's definitely queer coded for sure. But that for the record has nothing to do with why I loathe her.
No, but the reason I ask is I definitely sense that Holly's interest in Juno was more than just thrill seeking.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And then there's a scene of Holly and Sam out on the porch drinking, and like Holly is just kind of like bitching about, oh, how boring this spelunking is going to be. They might as well, they're going to Boredom Caves. They might as well call it Boredom Caves or Boredom Caverns. And Sam's not paying attention to her because Sam puts on some funky light up glasses and just gives her this smile. And there's this pause of them smiling at each other. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm just wondering if anyone else saw that.
I noticed that. I did. And I remember kind of thinking that same thing. There is one since we're talking about like the nuances of like different stuff happening at this reunion, when Sarah and Juno see each other for the first time, it is like Juno comes out of the cabin to greet them, but then stands very, very still and lets Sarah close the distance. Like Sarah basically runs up and is like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen each other. Juno like stands still and lets Sarah come to her. And like, to me, that was like just more reinforcement of the dynamic that we've been seeing. We also have a conversation between Sarah and Beth in the car on the way over, where Beth is like, yeah, Juno's a piece of work.
Beth doesn't like Juno. And
Beth has good instincts.
Yeah.
I really like the cut of Beth's jib. Like
Beth doesn't trust Juno. We don't know why yet. But Beth is no fan of Juno, and Beth is giving Sarah an out. So we don't have to do this. Like we can just go get drunk. Like we can do that. That's okay. And it's Sarah who's like, no, Juno planned all of this, and she out of obligation of upsetting a friend.
Yeah,
even a friend who hasn't been there for her for the last year is going through this.
Also, that moment when they're in the car, that's the Deliverance tie-in. On the radio, there's banjos playing. As they're like, we get a shot of them driving through the Appalachian Mountains, and banjos play on the radio, and then they turn off the radio to talk about Juno.
Love that.
Interesting.
As soon as I saw it, like I didn't hear it because I use hearing aids, but when you use captions, it tells you like what's happening sound wise. And so like I would have missed this if I was like just listening to it, but because I had the closed captions, it like tells me banjos are playing, and I'm like, Deliverance tie-in immediately.
I love it. Let's talk about the shots of the cars. Them driving to the cabin. and then the shots of the cars driving from the cabin to the caves. There's a few things to point out in this. Like, the one thing I'll say from a storyline is, like, Juno's driving crazy to the caves. Like, she's trying to show off. She's showboating, much like she did on the raft. Like, she's driving fast. She's flying over things. And Sam, who's leading the other vehicle, is just trying to keep up as best she can. But there's a few key shots that I think are worth pointing out. One shot is there's a drone shot of several drone shots of the cars driving through the mountains that are eerily similar to the opening shot of The Shining. And then there's another shot that they use twice, once in the intro, or once right here, then once at the end of the movie. It's a completely symmetrical shot. You have the lake at the bottom half of the frame. You have the road is the center line of the frame or the horizon, and you have the forest, which is the top of the horizon. And you see the vehicle traveling left to right through the frame, and then at the end of the movie, it's traveling right to left. That perfect symmetry and a very wide angle shot. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That exact shot is TCM.
I felt like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially when we get to the original ending, or even just the alternative ending. Like, I'm pretty sure the ending I watched last night is the alternative ending and not the ending that I originally saw, or maybe the ending I originally saw was the alternative. I do know that the ending I watched last night made no damn sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to that because there are two different endings, and I'm curious which one Heidi saw. Okay, so they arrive at the cave, and they have to hike a little bit from the cars to the cave. Now, this is where I want to point out color again. Remember, I mentioned the color green, a yellowish green hue on her in the hospital. Everything from after the title card until when they start hiking is blue. Everything is blue tones. That's how they toned the footage. Once they get close to the cave, about halfway through their hike, the color shifts and it's green. So green is definitely a symbol here. Like, otherwise the whole hike would have been in blue light. But halfway through this hike, and the hike's only like 1 minute long. Like, we're not talking a lot of time, but 30 seconds through, like at the halfway point, all of a sudden everything turns green as they approach the cave. So green is clearly a color choice that this director is using to illustrate something is coming or something is wrong, something is amiss here.
And I think this is just my armchair speculation here, but like, I think what they're trying to communicate is like, you're going from your nice, because blue is a color of like comfort, safety. That is like where the city slickers live, in these nice little clean blue spaces. And then you get into the nature. They're going into nature. The Appalachian Mountains are famous for having a lot of folklore, and there's like a lot of don't go into the woods in the Appalachian Mountains, don't be caught out there after dark. There's a lot of that sort of legend surrounding this region. So, and there's this idea that there is an ancient natural, like, or supernatural force, but like, nevertheless, that force comes from like this region of the earth. So it's like, sort of like in Deliverance, when these city slickers go into the Appalachian woods, like similarly, these women are going deep into nature, and they are about to like see the full force of what this type of nature has to offer. And so to me, it's like, it's symbolic of like leaving the comfort and going into nature, but nature's about to bite back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way of putting it.
Go ahead, Heidi.
I said that's a great way of putting it, because then as soon as we start getting into the cave, it's all red.
Yes. It, like, immediately shifts to red. So, the early moments of them going into the cave, they have to kind of spelunk down, and then they're kind of working through this system. There is a shot we see We find out, the act itself was perfunctory, but there is a shot we see before they get in the caves where Juno doesn't take the map, where she's holding the map to Borum
Yes.
Caverns and she puts it back in the glove compartment, shuts the glove compartment. We find out later that the map would have done them no good because they're not in Borum Cavern. But as they're going through, and we kind of see this awe and wonder, like they're finally like, oh, wow, Juno really found us something great. So Juno's feeling on top of herself. She's like, I told you guys, like this is amazing. And they're finally getting into this and they're warming up to this. Sam and Rebecca, the two sisters, are like, they're playing the caretaker role. Like, I think it was, I don't know, because the shot, it wasn't a talking shot, it was a voiceover shot, but one was talking about all the things that can happen while you're in the cave. You can have hallucinations, you can have claustrophobia, you can have shortness of breath, and she's like trying to warn them, like, these things are common when you're beneath the ground, when there's a lack of light, when there's a lack of oxygen. Like, so we need to talk, we need to have open dialogue if you're experiencing these things. And that's also kind of setting the stage of, are we going to see things? Are we going to see things that aren't there? Hear things that aren't really happening? And we're starting to get, like, we're paying closer attention to Sarah, because Sarah is still very quiet, but she's like honing everything. She's listening very intently. She's looking at things a little bit longer. And you're hearing a little bit of what she's hearing, and you're seeing, she's looking at pattern, she's looking at light, she's looking at shadow. You're like, am I seeing something here? I'm not really sure. And I think that is really effective, because if, once again, we do not know if this is a creature movie had we not seen previews. Is this a movie about Sarah just descending into her own madness?
And for the record, like, that is also still like a possibility when we get to the end. Like, that never really leaves the table. As soon as we get into, so like we see the cave, and like as soon as the girls get there, everyone's like, you got to be kidding me. There's no, like, but they drop down like directly from above into this cave system, this gorgeous open cavern with this gorgeous waterfall coming into it. And we see the skill of the women like coming down. But as soon as Sarah is in this space, as soon as they enter, Sarah begins to hear what she thinks sounds like her daughter's laugh.
Yep. If unless you have the closed captioned on, it's easy to miss that. Heidi, did you clock that?
I think I missed that.
Yeah.
I did not write that down.
Once again, they used audio as a character in this, and that was one of those ones. It's so subtle. The decibel level is so low that unless you're really paying attention, that's an easy one to miss. Also, she hears lots of chittering throughout the entire time she's in the cave. That one's a little easier to hit. We come to this moment as they're kind of going through this, where Sarah gets stuck in this very tight crevice, and she has a panic attack. And it is such a intense, real, visceral reaction, where she cannot breathe. She cannot calm herself. She cannot slow her breath. She cannot focus. She is trapped beneath like tons and tons of rock and earth that could break her in an instant. And Beth has to turn around, and they're like, I mean, the filming of this is so tight. The cameras are so close in on them because there is no room. They are just shimmying through barely. If you ate a donut, you are not going to fit through the crevices that they are trying to squeeze their bodies through. And they're starting to wonder, it's like, this doesn't feel like an easy, like Borum is supposed to be for tourists. This is not a tourist trip. Something's wrong here. Something's not right. And then Sarah gets stuck, and Beth has to go coach her, and they're face to face. And Beth is saying, listen, the worst thing that ever could have happened to you has already happened. You have nothing left to be afraid of. This cave has nothing to scare you with. And that's what calms her down enough to get her to realize she can move, she can get herself out of this, but then all of a sudden we hear the rocks crumble. And both of them have this look that they realize that where she is laying is about to cave in. And she has to get the fuck out of there right now. And Beth just screams, move. And they get out of there right before the rocks collapse in and close them into this cave.
It's so visceral, this scene. This scene is like probably the main reason that I like watched this movie 10 years ago and never watched it again until last night, because like this scene is like, so first of all, something's up from the jump, because like they lower down into this big beautiful cavern, and it does look very much like what we're expecting, like a big beautiful cavern. But then when we're going into the next section, the only way to get through is, as you said, this very tiny entrance that doesn't seem very tourist friendly at all. This is not going through with hard hats and handrails. This is serious spelunking. And even just from when Holly, the first person, goes through, like, it's already claustrophobic. And the actor that they cast as Sarah is actually slightly claustrophobic, so her reaction is somewhat genuine, that you see in this scene. And the collapse, the loss of hope on that collapse, like, because like, what do you do now?
And once everyone starts to come to, this is where they have the conversation that they're not in Borum Caverns. And Juno admits, like, Borum Caverns for tourists. I needed to do something. Like, this was our chance to do something no one's ever done before. We're not in a cave system that has been discovered yet. There's no name for it. We're discovering it. I did this for you guys. So she's deflecting and she's gaslighting them. Like, she's not going to take responsibility for the danger that they are all in.
Yeah.
She's just trying to make herself out as this. She's so gracious to have given them this opportunity to discover this cave system together. And there's only one way out, and that's down through the pipe. They just got to keep going. And that's the only hope of them getting out. And she's now almost, whether subconsciously or not, position herself as the savior again. She's going to get them out of this. She's going to save them. And she thus will save Sarah through this. So it's almost, it does feel like she subconsciously set this up to put herself in the role that she could save Sarah.
Oh,
I agree.
1,000,000%. Like this woman's like just a masterclass in like narcissistic traits. As soon as they find out that, like, so first of all, just like the unimaginable like assholery of taking all of your friends to a cave system. Like, Beth establishes like that she has she's like told search and rescue where they're going to be. And now search and rescue will not know where to look for them. It just boggles the mind, like, what a huge asshole move that is. Like, she really couldn't see anything past, they will think I'm a big hero. She didn't see any of the worst case scenarios. She didn't see anything other than they will think I'm a big hero. And as soon as she has to start reframing it, because her plan A has now become like plan F, she's like, I'm still gonna be the big hero. Like, that's where she lives.
That, and it's back to the thrill-seeking Juno, because she said, if there's no risk, what's the point? So she's also keeping. Oh, I wrote down what's the point. I could be wrong.
That could have been it. Yeah.
Either way, we know that Juno is somebody who is not afraid. Like, she's demonstrated from the very first that she's not afraid to like toss her friends under the bus in the pursuit of seeking a thrill or, you know, showing herself as who she wants to be or who she sees herself as. So like she's not going to let anybody's safety or anybody's feelings get in the way.
I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline, but I feel like this happened. So they obviously have to start going through the cave, and they come across this chasm, this massive drop that there's no bottom in sight, and so they have to. One person has to free climb across the ceiling of this cavern to create a line that they can shimmy across. And Rebecca does it because even though Juno's the strongest, Rebecca has the longest arms, the longest reach, etc. Rebecca's the best person to do this, and it's this very intense scene of Rebecca free climbing across this ceiling to put in these pins. I don't know what they're called because I don't climb rocks. That they can tie a line to so that everyone else can just shimmy across this chasm. But as she's doing that, she comes across a pin in the ceiling, a very old looking pin in the ceiling. And you hear Juno say, well, what is it? And she's like, nothing. And she just clips her carabiner to that and just continues on. And she never mentions it. She never says anything about it. But clearly they're not the first persons in this cave, that someone else has been here. And then from there, we then go to Beth sees something on the walls of one of the caverns they're in. They light a flare, and it's a cave drawing. And Beth sees, look at this cave. Look, there's an entrance here. That's where we came in. But there's another entrance on this drawing over here. So that means we're heading towards another way out. There's a way out if we keep going. And they feel really good. They feel pumped up. We're at the 47-minute mark, by the way. They start to walk off, and you see something in the foreground. It's completely silhouetted. And then something starts dripping out of it, and you realize what you're looking at in the silhouette is a mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And saliva just starts oozing out of this mouth. 47 minutes is the first time we see a creature. And we don't even see it. We just see saliva.
Fun fact, the actors had no idea that the crawler was there. They were completely unaware of that during filming. So like when they're walking off, they are genuinely walking off with no idea that the creature is like behind them in the foreground like that.
Oh wow.
Like I love reading the trivia on movies because it's like always so interesting, like how they create like those visceral scenes, like how did they get there? And like part of that is that, like, you know, the actors never see the creatures, or never saw the creatures. They were completely segregated on set. They didn't eat lunch with the actors who played the creatures or anything like that. Completely segregated. And then they never actually saw the reveal that you see on camera when they first see a creature is the first time that those actors saw the creature.
Oh my God. That creeps me out hearing that.
That is very creepy. No wonder they didn't go on to do lots and lots of other things.
No kidding. So I also did want to point out that the reason was it Becca or Sam who had to free climb?
Rebecca did the free climb.
So I just wanted to point out the reason that Rebecca had to do the free climb was because they didn't have enough rope and they didn't have enough hooks, because one of their rope bags was lost in the cave-in. That was Juno's fault.
Yep.
So.
Oh, and I forgot to mention there's the show-off scene where Juno free climbs last and undoes all the ropes because they have to have them all. So Juno has to show up Rebecca. Rebecca was really impressive because she free climbed that thing, but Juno could not allow that to happen.
And this, of course, causes our first major injury, because when Juno is free climbing across to unhook everything, the ancient pin fails, because, like, honestly, like, you couldn't have paid me to like hook my hook to an ancient pin like that and just like
Right.
risk it all for the biscuit. But whatever. It worked fine until it didn't. But this causes Juno to fall. Her friends have to grab the rope. The rope like cuts immediate, like gashes into Becca's hand, causing like just like a huge injury that I'm sure won't come up at all later. And again, very like it's a huge gash, very, very bloody. Again, Sam Raimi gives it 2 thumbs way, way up.
The idea of rope burn gives me the heebie-jeebies. This is like, I mean, that rope burned so much it like almost sawed her hand in half. Like,
Guys, no, it's like there are so many moments in this movie that are like visceral, and like you'll be talking about it and I'm just like over here, like anybody watching is just like looking at me like with my hands over my face.
I mean, this whole movie has been a slow burn until right now. Nothing is going to be slow from this moment on, because now Holly thinks she sees light ahead and she starts running in the cave, which was one of Becca's warnings. Do not run. Always watch where you're walking.
And everyone's screaming at her, it's not daylight. It's not daylight.
It's like it was like the algae creating
it's phosphorus algae or phosphorus worms or something like.
And Holly ends up falling through a false floor and completely shatters her leg. Like the bone is just sticking right out through her leg.
Yeah, she breaks her tibia, and it is just to get really anatomical. It is her tibia bone, and it is shown sticking through her leg.
Sam has to reset it. We learn that Sam has medical training for she's a vet. I believe she was a veterinarian. Is that right?
She's in medical school, and they established back at the cabin that this time next year she'll be a doctor.
Got it. Okay, so she's pre-med, and she basically pushes the bone back in and splints it for Holly. But Holly's completely compromised now. They have to carry her, and this is where they start to freak out. Like
they are 2 miles below Earth, by the way.
What's that?
It's established around here that they are 2 miles below Earth, like 2 miles down. Like just like I'm sitting here in my closet with this geode behind me, and I'm just thinking 2 miles down like sounds.
Yep. So we see someone's holding Holly's camera. Holly has a camcorder, and they have the infrared turned on so they can see in the dark. And I think it was Becca is just screaming. She's just lost it. She's like, someone has to be there. Can anybody help us? Can anybody hear us? And whoever has the camera like pans back to her, but it's not just her. There's something behind her. It is looming over her. It is grotesque with pointed ears and a prolonged face with sharp, visceral teeth, and it is just looming right behind her. I mean, what a freaking brilliant jump scare that no one saw that coming. That is an earned scare.
No, because like the entire movie has not done jump scares. They didn't traffic in that at all, so we aren't prepared for it. Like the whole movie has been a slow burn. Everything scary that's happened has been cave-ins, and like it's scary. We're scared. We're tense. So when they finally snap that rubber band, it's like, and like the best part is that like this moment, the moment where the camera pans, that is the entire cast and crew's first time seeing the crawlers as well.
Heidi, what was your reaction to this?
I thought it was really cool because, well, in a way, I thought it was cool because of the whole time I've been kind of like, are we ever going to get there? Are we ever going to get there? Is there going to be any action in this movie? So then I was very happy to have it, but I wrote it down. That's the 56-minute mark or so. I'm like, gosh, that took a long time to get here for a horror movie that was sold. sold to me as a horror movie. I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that's why I brought up Jaws earlier. It's like you don't see the shark until almost an hour into the movie. Like that's how the movie is predicated. It's on this idea of what you don't see being the scariest thing. Um, and from here, the groups get separated because I mean it's all out chaos. The creatures take Holly, like they pretty much eat her stomach out, like right there. And the camera work is really fast. It's really frenetic. The creatures are they crawl around on all fours, wildly quick. And
See
as
them
this
on
group,
ceilings and everything. We
yeah,
see them crawling like it almost looks human, but not human. It's got kind of a Nosferatu sort of
yes,
effect to their face. You can't call this a mouth. It's like a maw with like sharp teeth. They start to take Holly. Juno fights back, and Juno's not playing about Holly. And this like starts a very, very bloody battle that does end with Holly getting brutally unalived. And she's the first one to die in this movie.
yep. Holly goes first. Everyone's least favorite character uh, goes first, and Juno's just badass fight. And normally I hate fast camera work. To me, fast camera work indicates that you do not have the competency to show action. In this movie, it works because of the intention. They don't see, they're in the dark. All they see is what their headlamps are showing them. They are in complete darkness. So this idea of things moving so fast and them not, why should the audience see what's happening when the characters can't see what's happening? To
Yeah.
me, that's effective. But you have this fast fight between Juno and these creatures, and she's getting hurt. Like she's not Sarah Connor, but she gets the best of them because she has that climbing axe.
It's a pickaxe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool looking. It's like foldy and yeah, so very, very
Serrated
cool. But something happens. So she loses Holly, and she winds up getting like kind of scooped up by one of the creatures, and she has to like fight her way out of that. And so she's like fighting for her life. She hunts that creature. She hears something behind her, and she turns around to thwack the creature that's behind her. But it wasn't a creature that was behind her.
It was Beth standing behind her.
It was Beth. And I wrote this down for my notes. She literally stabs Beth in the back of the neck. Like she attacks her from the front, but she whips around the pickaxe so that it stabs her right through the back of her neck. But like it wasn't lost on me. Like although you attacked from the front, you stabbed in the back.
Mm. Yeah. And Beth is just looking at her, like just complete shock and confusion, and she starts to fall, and like Beth kind of grasps at her, and we see that, but Juno just kind of backs away from her. Like,
yeah, I wrote down that she just backs into the darkness.
Yeah, and Beth is begging her, please don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. And we just see Juno retreat into the darkness.
Mm-hmm. That is just a wildly painful scene to watch. From here, we're going to kind of cut back and forth between the surviving characters. The sisters are together. Sam and Rebecca are together. Sarah is all alone. Sarah got separated from everyone. But Sarah's journey through all this is the most interesting because she also has to fight a creature. But when she fights this creature and she's able to kill this creature, I mean, the amount of blood that drenches over her this is why Sam Raimi, had a comment on
the blood lake scene. Like,
yes, another scene where she ends up falling into this complete like cesspool of all the excrements of all these creatures kills over centuries, all the blood, the guts, the bile, the fecal matter, all into this giant lake of red gore.
Yeah, and she pops out of that, like, and that is like there are alternative covers for the film where it's just her kind of out of the I'm trying to like do the impression.
Well, it was Apocalypse Now. She did the Apocalypse Now, head rising out of the water, the eyes open. So you just see this complete red head come out of the water, and then these eyes open. You have the whitest eyes with the most blue color as they kind of look side to side. Same as Apocalypse Now. They mimic that in so well.
I know, and I know I say this all the time, but like shots like that, this is why I go to the movies. Like, you know, I'm obsessed-elated. But I got a little ahead when I took us to the Blood Lake.
No, and that's fine. But I'm curious how are you handling the gore, Heidi? Because you're not like horror is not your genre per se.
Correct, but gore does not bother me at all. I wrote down that scene was just very Carrie vibes.
Yes.
For me, obviously different, but then I couldn't think of the other one where there's kind of that blood lake with the skeleton. It's a very popular movie, and I'm just drawing a blank on it, but it kind of reminded me of those two scenes that I've seen before, but I was in for it. I'm like, I've been waiting for this. Why did it take so long to get here?
To me, I like that intention.
I do.
The tension building was good.
It is. And the more we talk about it, I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to have to watch this movie again.
The only time I struggle with slow burns is when there's no payoff. The payoff on this is so big. It reinforces it rewards the wait. We see Sarah get reborn in these battles. We see her transform. It is one of the fastest like character arc transformations we've seen. She's gone through so much trauma, and now she has the opportunity to fight, literally fight for her life. And she becomes something else. She becomes someone else. And it's wildly cathartic to watch her do this, to fight these creatures and to kill these creatures. And she's also studying them, and she's learning that they can't see her. And she's using Holly's camera to spy on them as they will walk right over her because they can't see her. They do not have eyes. So she sees that they are operating based off other senses, sound, being smell.
Yeah, it's so strange to me that they can't apparently smell anybody because like they also walk over the sisters. The sisters are like huddled and hiding, and like they crawl over the sisters and don't hear, and they can't sense that they're there, so they can't apparently smell them, or at least I didn't get that. But that to me doesn't necessarily not track, because like Jesus Christ, can you imagine what the smell would be like in that cave? Like the smell in the gore lake. I thought about that a few times, and I was like, this would be like I would have been down for, like, they would have caught me because like I would be too busy throwing up from the smell. I would have been the first kill. But like, you know, I guess I kind of like lost where I was going here, but like they can't see, they can't apparently smell, but they definitely, you know, the chittering that we hear gives us the sense that they use echolocation, and that is actually a callback to Predator.
Yep. Yeah, because you hear the Predator clicking throughout. There's another quick scene of Rebecca and Sam, and they're asking Sam, like, what do you see when you look at this creature? Like, you know, break it down. Like, you went to med school, and she's seeing that their eyes don't work, and she's like that. She's hypothesizing. It's a very quick scene, but it does give us a little more ideation of how these creatures operate. It's somewhere in this, though, the creatures do find Sam and Rebecca, and they get Sam because Sam's trying to cross another ledge, right? And the creature ends up like almost toying with her as she's hanging off this rope, trying to like fend off this creature, and the creature just takes one swipe and kills her.
Just neutralizes her.
Her artery gone.
Yeah,
gone.
And it's a great shot too. Also, like, it's worth noting, like, for like when she's free climbing across this, she doesn't have enough rope, and she knows it. Everyone's telling her, Sam, get your ass back here. And like, these guys can just crawl on the ceiling. So like, where are you going? So like, this to me seemed to be like her last grasping at straws, and she knew she was out anyways. But like the end shot that we get is so great because we have her like sort of doing the flash dance pose, if you will, in her harness, hanging from the cave ceiling, and the blood is like coming down. Flash dance.
Yeah. And then immediately her sister goes, like just pulled into the darkness. Like, you don't even see what happens to this. She's just, well, you see them kind of go at her intestines, but then Rebecca's gone.
Yeah.
And then we, and this whole time, like, we've been kind of cutting back and forth between characters as we're kind of getting updates on where they're at. Back to Sarah. Sarah finds Beth, and Beth is alive.
And Beth has a souvenir as well in her hand.
We had seen Beth grasp at Juno, and apparently she took something. And she hands it to Sarah, and she says, Juno did this.
Yeah. So throughout the film, we see Juno, like, there's a prominent scene where Juno's jogging through the woods in the beginning of the film, and we can't help but notice this necklace that she's always wearing. It looks like it's some kind of feather, but like, it's not lost on me that it literally kind of also looks like a knife to the heart. It's almost sort of dagger shaped. So like, it's very prominent. We see it throughout. She kisses it before doing her free climb. Like, it's obviously very special, and now we get to see why. Also, established earlier in the movie, was that Sarah's late husband Paul had a phrase that he would say, "Love each day."
And we see that is inscribed on the necklace.
Yeah. So now we know why Juno couldn't be there for Sarah in the aftermath of her husband's death. She was mourning the loss of her lover. We know why Paul was distant in the car. We know all the reasons that Juno is such a terrible friend, and it's like the ultimate reveal.
Heidi, how are you clocking this at this scene?
That's kind of when I finally figured it out. I mean, I knew the necklace was special. I was seeing that come up, but it wasn't until this scene, so late in the movie, now that I'm going, oh, okay, I get it now.
It is a powerful scene, and it completes Sarah's arc, because that was the key she needed to conclude that chapter.
I agree. And I want to say, like, a film that doesn't trust its audience would have like played a flashback of Sarah saying, Paul said every day, love each day. Or a less smart film would have also done like flashes of like Juno at the hospital, so that you really know, like, by the way, this is like my behavior, but they just trust you with it. They just give it to you. They trust you. They know you can handle it.
Kind of like in all the Saw movies, where in the final act they do the flashback of all the clues that they drip through the entire movie as they play the dun 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 dun. Like,
that is exactly what I mean. Like,
yeah, we saw this. We were there too. We were there too.
That's exactly what I mean. And like, that's one of the things I love about this movie, is it's a movie that trusts its audience.
Because
And love that series so much because you'll learn things from movie to movie. And I find that fun to have to go back and put the pieces together.
I've seen most of them, but I never like chronologically enough to track. And I'm curious if I did a rewatch of every, because there's now what, 11, 10 or 11?
Oh, I haven't seen them all then.
Yeah, to do a complete, I think there's 10 to do a complete track film to film to see how they do. But Sarah is, because Sarah's now transformed, she's able to put Beth out of her misery.
Yes. And so Beth asks her, like, will you please, I need
Don't let them get me. I don't want to go like that.
And Sarah obliges, like, she clearly doesn't want to, but she's gonna. And she does it in like the most, like, I could never. Like, she picks up a rock and does it. Equalized. Like, couldn't be me.
So we go back to Juno. It's Juno and Sarah left, and Juno is still fighting off these things, and she's trying to escape from them. She hears them. She's trying to escape from them. And then Juno's grabbed and pulled, but she was grabbed by human arms. And I love this shot because it's a shot from up shooting down, and Juno's like pulled into this side cavern, and then you see Sarah's head pop up to look to make sure they're not being followed. And then Sarah's head just pops right back into the cavern as she's pinning Juno against the wall. And this is all of a sudden it's like, Juno's Juno. This is not the Sarah we've seen. And this is Juno's first time seeing this new Sarah. And you could see how uncomfortable Juno is in seeing Sarah, who's not to be walked over, not to be, messed with. Juno is seeing.
What happened to you?
Yep.
Like she can obviously, like, I mean, first of all, she is literally covered head to toe in blood. Like, her hair is blonde in the film. It is now red. Like, she dyed it with Kool-Aid. And like, so she's covered in blood. So she does look physically different, but like it is not the physical traits that Juno is clocking.
She also, because she disrobed a bit, in the early, she was wearing like a climber's jacket, but all she has on now is a tank top, and we see her arms now look
jacked. She's got that Sarah Connor kind of, not quite at the Sarah Connor level, but like we see like sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, you see the striations and the muscles, and she never answers Juno's questions. She just responds with almost one-word questions.
No, and we see this great shot of her, like Juno asks, like, what happened to you? And rather than answer, like, we see Sarah kind of take account of what's going on around her. So she looks and she sees Sam hanging from the ceiling in her flash dance pose. I think I want to say, like, at this point she's like asking about like other players, and she asks about Beth. She's got questions about Beth.
I wonder, and I'm trying to like replay it. I think she just said Beth, like with a question mark.
Yeah, and Beth or something like that. Like it was.
Juno just shook her head, and then she asked, "You saw it?" And Juno, yeah. And that was the confirmation that Beth was right, that Juno left her to die. And Juno, and is now lying to Sarah's face. And then Sarah's like Sarah's leading. She's like, let's go. And now Sarah's leading them. And such an interesting shift in that dynamic.
Yeah.
And once again, I like how they didn't spend a lot of time. Sarah's in charge now. Juno's following Sarah.
Yeah.
And
they're still, their goal is they've found this bone cavern. Like we mentioned, the blood lake is, I think, below the bone cavern, but like basically
where everything seeps to.
yeah, like, so we've found that basically these guys, whoever they are, the crawlers, they hunt, they go above ground to hunt, and they drop their kills down into the cavern. So they're trying to get to wherever that entrance is, where they drop carcasses down into the bone cavern. So like they're journeying through like a literal cavern full of bones and through all of this disgusting stuff. More battle ensues with the crawlers, and we actually get a little bit more in-depth shots. Like we see a child crawler, we see a female crawler. So we can see that, like, you know, this is a little bit more nuanced than like just like a creature feature where everyone is seemingly a like without gender or like straight up male or
Yeah.
just all the same.
There are generations
Yeah.
of these creatures in this system, and there's this really intense battle where it's Sarah and Juno almost back to back, each with their pickaxes, just going to town on these things, and like equals. They're equals in fighting them, and then they take a breath to, in between, bouts with these creatures, and more are coming, and they just look at each other, and then we get what is my favorite shot in the entire movie. And when I mentioned that I think the book wasn't effective, it was because the book destroyed this shot with exposition.
Oh
The
god.
book doesn't have this shot. The book just explains a lot of stuff about all the subtext that we already know that we don't need explained. And it felt like it was written for a YA audience, and this is not a YA movie. You see a close-up of Sarah's hand in the foreground holding the pickaxe, and in the background, out of focus, is Juno. And Sarah just opens up a few of her fingers, and the necklace drops, Juno's necklace. And then the camera shifts focus to Juno's face, seeing the necklace in Sarah's hand. And just that oh shit moment of, she knows. The gambit is up. And then Sarah raises the pickaxe and does something I don't think anyone sees coming. And she implants the pickaxe into Juno's knee.
I loved this. Nancy Kerrigan style, just
Yes.
like for me, this is like such poetic justice, because like she didn't kill her. It's not her fault. She didn't kill her, but she did make sure that, like, first of all, like, Juno is responsible for every death that happened in that cave system that day. Like, Juno is responsible for so much pain and suffering that she's brought into Sarah's life, that, like, she would have been just like, I don't think anybody would have like blinked if she had just like fully equalized her in that moment, but she didn't. She just took out her knee and said, you're the token I'm gonna pay to get the fuck out of here. Like, leaving you behind, you can be their snack while I get away.
She pulled a Beth on her. She did to Juno what Juno did to Beth.
Yes.
And then leaves her. And comes across this like bone mountain leading up to this shaft of light. And we get one shot of Juno like completely hobbled, still with her pickaxe, now being surrounded by these creatures, like wildly outnumbered. This is the only shot of the movie I don't like, because it's the only shot that it's not really CGI, but they splice footage together where you just see Juno standing there. You see all these creatures jumping on all these rocks all around her. It just doesn't look, that shot doesn't hold up. That is the only shot of this movie I don't like. But nonetheless, the impact of the moment is there. Juno's gone. You don't see what happened. You just hear Juno just screaming as Sarah's escaping. Sarah comes across this bone mountain. At the top of the bone mountain is light, actual light, sunlight. She ascends this mountain of bones, climbs out, and she is out. She can breathe, sunlight, air. She has escaped the cave. She runs covered in blood, all the way back to where their vehicle is, gets in the vehicle, slams on the gas. We get that now reverse shot of the car just flying down the road. Now it's going right to left in that Symmetry Texas Chainsaw Massacre shot until she just has to pull off to the side of the road and just break down crying. What wakes her up then is a semi truck, because she's off to the side of the road, but she's too close to the road. The semi truck lays on his horn as it passes her, and we get this like jolt as she then jolts up, and then she turns in the car and she sees what is like a dead ghost zombie-esque version of Juno sitting in her passenger seat, and then credits roll.
Yep.
If you watch the US version.
That must be the one that I saw.
So that's the movie I saw last night. This is not the movie and I want to just offer a small correction. She actually doesn't go to she doesn't find the Bone Mountain. So she finds the shaft of light elsewhere, but then falls through another false floor, lands back in the bone pit, but she somehow sees another miraculous shaft of light in the bone pit. And so she climbs out that way and goes and finds her car, and that's the, I guess, the US version. That's not the original version I saw. The original version I saw, and the version that frankly I liked more because it made more sense to me. Because once she falls through that false floor and she lands herself back in the bone pit, but then all of a sudden this miraculous shaft of light just finds her, and I remember like watching this last night and being like, well, that's a hallucination. And that's exactly what it is in the version that I watched originally.
Yeah, in the original version, and what the book ends up doing is tracking the original version. The entire scene of her escaping, getting to the car, driving, the truck scaring her and Juno in the passenger seat is a hallucination, because she opens her eyes again and she's still in the cave in complete darkness. And the camera kind of pans back as we see all the creatures in various elements of the cave all around her. And then the movie ends. So the movie ends with her, she never escaped. She's still trapped. She's still in the darkness. And then the credits roll. So that ending was seen as too depressing for American audiences. So they cut that out and they end with her escaping, but escaping with a question mark, because what the fuck is she seeing Juno's ghost for in her car? Like, that's clearly a hallucination. There's clearly something wrong there. We're introducing another element here at the end of that movie.
Well, I thought that the point of that was to suggest that she'll be haunted by this forever. I didn't think it was as much a hallucination as like a literal haunting, like not necessarily that you know.
Yeah, I wasn't saying like now we're jumping genres and it's a paranormal movie. I'm just saying like it leaves on a wildly ambiguous note of it. What is this hallucination? Why is she having it? Is it just the idea of this figurative haunting of the fact that she let this person die? Or is there another reason she's hallucinating? Like maybe they are leaving that door open that, hey, this could be the UK version where she's still in this cave and she's hallucinating things. Well, I appreciate that they left that in.
Well, and it leads us to like the broader question of like, if she was imagining Juno there, if she is imagining her child's laughter throughout the cave system, and I think in the UK version, I think her daughter comes to comfort her at the end.
She has these interspliced throughout the movie. Even in the US movie, she has these moments of having flashbacks to it, like her daughter's birthday and blowing out candles. So the significance of blowing out candles is part of it. And I think you're right. I think in the UK version, the daughter actually says something in the final flashback to her.
Yeah, like I think her daughter like comes up to her and is like, "Come on home, mom," or something like that. You know, so it's something that gives it a sense of finality. But like if she's having like these hallucinations, and one thing that they clipped out that they originally had in both versions was that when she's in the hospital, she's supposed to hear chittering, and they clipped that out. But like if she had heard the chittering in the hospital, like begs the question, like what actually happened in that cave system? Were there ever any crawlers, or did she have a complete mental breakdown and murder her 4 best friends?
I feel like I would have liked that to be left in. Like, not obvious, definitely not obvious, but subtly, if we were to hear the clicking sounds and it fades into the beeping of her heart monitor, that would have been chef's kiss perfect.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, because it leaves that ambiguity. And I do like that read of, yes, she transformed, but maybe it's not the creatures that transformed her. Maybe it was the trauma that transformed her, and this is the consequence of that transformation.
Well, I mean, the entire film is like an allegory for like how trauma transforms you, I think. Like that, or at least that was my take. And like, and especially for the US version, like the end result is like, yes, that trauma will transform you, but it will never leave you.
I like that. All right, we have to do final deliberation. So let's start with Heidi. Where are you at with The Descent from 2005?
Oh, goodness. Well, clearly I'm going to have to give it another go because I had rated it pretty low and a never need to watch again. But having gone through this process in the last 2 hours, I think I've changed my mind. I missed a lot of things.
You caught things I haven't seen after so many viewings, like the mask thing. Like I feel like I want to go and watch that scene tonight, actually, to clock that again. All right, Kat, what about you?
I mean, this movie is guilty of stealing my heart a second time. I still love this movie. I'm really glad I watched it a second time. I've been, you know, I love to watch horror movies again and again, but like this one was like so claustrophobic that I like struggled with it. But like there's so much good stuff that you pick up on like this on the second watch.
I'm in the same boat. This is, I think, one of the best horror films that has come out in the last 25 years. Like this is a masterclass in cinematography and sound design and score in acting in casting,
Screenwriting, like the whole
screenwriting. Like it is a shame that we haven't had something hit as good as this in that long. And as I mentioned, you know, we just have to say, like, there was a sequel, and it was produced by Neil Marshall. He did not write or direct it. And when I said the sequel completely ruins the premise of the original, here's what happens. Sarah survives, and the police want to know what happened. And they get a rescue team to go and find anyone who has survived in the cave system. But they need Sarah to guide them because Sarah's been down there before. And so Sarah and a rescue team with one sheriff go back into the cave system where they find Juno alive. Sarah is then killed by the creatures, and Juno becomes the protagonist and the hero.
Hate it.
Ew.
I hate it.
Yep.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yep.
I don't hate the original premise, like the idea of like Sarah does live and Sarah does like have to like help, or that they do have to, maybe Sarah lives but doesn't. It makes no sense to me that they would have her go back down there. Like,
yeah, it's this person who survived this trauma. Hey, why don't you go back into
like
the caves?
there's the shark and there's them jumping right over it. But speaking of Jaws, But yeah, like, so that part doesn't make sense. But I love the idea of like a sequel where like search and rescue like does go down and discovers the madness all over again, even though they're maybe supposed to be more prepared. And I like the idea that maybe somehow Juno could have like survived down there and is like some kind of gnarly one-legged like half monster, half woman, like at this point or something. I don't know. Like that you could have done something with that, but like guess not.
They didn't do it well. I will say that they didn't do it well. Okay, so we have a round of not guilties. So we all recommend The Descent. Heidi's going to rewatch it tonight. We are in Creature Feature Month, and so I was just looking at the schedule. We do not have The Thing on the schedule, and the reason we don't, and now looking at the schedule, I remember why I didn't put it. I am withholding The Thing because I'm considering one of the months doing a remake month where we watch either both the original and the remake, or we just watch the remake and we judge remakes. So that's why I withheld The Thing, because The Thing was originally a Howard Hawks film from the 1950s.
Okay.
Based off the book Who Goes There. Actually, it was a short novella. So that was the reason I withheld The Thing. And then there was a prequel to The Thing too. So thematically, I was just wondering if there was another month I could tuck The Thing in that would be a little bit more.
Sorry, you've said I'm withholding The Thing. I'm gonna tuck The Thing in. Like
I meant every word.
Say more things about The Thing.
I meant every word.
I'm waiting for somebody to snip these out.
My intro was going to be. No, I can't say that. I literally cannot say that on mic. But what we do have on the docket is I put Feast on the docket, which is I don't at me if I get this wrong, but I want to say this was an early produced film from Damon and Affleck as part of their Project Greenlight, it is a wild off the walls monster movie. That is very early meta in a wildly entertaining way. Even stars Jason Mewes, a la Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, as himself. We have Critters, what many consider to be a Gremlins ripoff, even though it was made prior to Gremlins. And then we have The Ritual, which when we talk about folklore and entities that exist that tie to a deep narrative of an area, it is The Ritual. Another one I've read the book of, which goes wildly different from the movie in Act 3. So stay tuned for that. But that's what we have coming up for January. January is actually going to be a busy month in cinemas as well for horror, as we have Return to Silent Hill hitting theaters, the third Silent Hill movie installment, and then 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which looks wildly interesting, directed by Nia DaCosta, who did the Candyman reboot. So I'm actually really excited about that from a film perspective. I think we're going to have some interesting films. But yeah, we closed out a pretty strong 2025.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see more of the Creature Feature Month.
Well, from us at Film Jury, I want to thank both Heidi and Kat for being on this episode. Obviously, there was a lot to talk about. This is the longest episode we've done of the Film Jury. So huge shout out to both of you for being a part of this. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for subscribing, for sharing this podcast with a friend, for your 5-star reviews on the Apple Podcast app, for subscribing on YouTube, all those things. Thank you so much. And we will catch you all in the next screening.
Bye.